gonna go ahead on and get started, even though, we don't quite have a quorum. We're gonna, make sure I do this right. All right, so we start the agenda. We officially call the meeting to order. We don't have a quorum yet.
We can go ahead and start, we just can't make any decisions, or we can't approve, approve anything such as the minutes until we get one more person.
Okay, all right, that sounds like one. Good to see everybody. We're gonna pause for a brief word of prayer and then we'll get started. Father, we thank you. We thank you for our city. We thank you for our commission. And we thank you for guiding us here safely. And pray that those who are on their way will arrive safely. And we pray for a good, open, and honest meeting today. And we pray that your plan will go for us. In his name we pray. Amen. Okay, since we're not doing any approvals,
How many more we need?
I think we need probably six. Is it enough now? Oh, okay, good deal, we got enough now. Give him a minute to get in. Good to see you, Nehemiah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Good to be
We're
seen.
glad to see Miss Lucy back. She's back with us. She's been away for a while, so we're glad to have her back. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda first.
So moved.
Okay, motion has been.
Second.
Question.
Okay.
Let me, there was one item I left off the agenda, so may I entertain the, change for that? We have a new agenda in front of you with one additional item added.
Did Nehemiah get the,
But we can do that after we carry this up here. Yeah, I mean, that'll be fine. Yeah. I second.
Okay, want to make sure he got, okay. Motion's been made and properly moved. Are you ready for question?
Question.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Uh,
And all those opposed, the ayes have it. Likewise, we will, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting that you have in your packet there.
So moved.
I so moved.
Okay, we have a so moved,
Second.
and we have a second. Are you ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. And now we can move on into our updates from the last meeting. I'm going to turn this over to Archie.
All right, two of the, both, I guess, two of the top priority items that we left from the previous meeting that we need to follow up on. One would be start the process of trying to identify someone from the Hispanic or Latino community to be a possible candidate for a vacant seat on the commission. And don't have any conclusive information to share with you on that yet, but we're working on it. If the body has a suggestion or you get to communicate with somebody, you want to pass that contact name on, please do so. But as soon as we get some names, I will definitely share it with you. Also, another item which was doing a meeting, the Human Rights Commission sponsored a meeting in conjunction with the police department. The goal is to take, or the goal of the directive was to take this meeting or have this meeting somewhere convenient for the Hispanic community. And I'm communicating with the police department. They're on board. Their community relations person is working on with me. Fire department saw that we were working on this, and they also said they want to be a part of it also. I do believe that there will be other city departments that provide services to the community will be a part also. So we are working to make that happen, and as soon as we get a location nailed down and a date, I will forward it to you. And my goal or my desire is that when we hold that meeting, we want to have as many of the commission members that are on this body present as well. And there may have been some other things, there may have been other things going on in the community involving the Hispanic or Latino community that I may have missed or overlooked. So I kind of yield to if anybody else have any things that are in the process or that have happened since we started this conversation.
Archie, you know, when we had, members from the Hispanic community here, they mentioned on more than one occasion that they were, under pressure for possible deportation by ICE. I'm assuming that's the only group that would be pursuing them. Do we have any insight into what the law enforcement ideology is here in terms of working with ICE? Are our county sheriffs working with ICE, or do we know? Because I know some sheriffs have decided not to, but then I heard not long ago, another group of sheriffs decided they were gonna work with them, or.
And that's something we definitely want to cover when we have this meeting. That is a fear that really exists in the community. Now, in previous conversations I've had with the local police department, they do not deal with any of that. That's not a part of their responsibility. ICE is a separate federal agency, and they handle that. Now, there may be some investigative situations that are going on that ICE may come in on, but just out of the normal operations of conducting business in the community, the Rockmount Police Department will not communicate with them. At one time previously, maybe a year or two ago, there was a fear that there was someone on the Rockmount Police Department that was working directly with the agency, and that's false also. So there's a lot of false information out there, and again, one of the benefits of trying to have these meetings is to set the record straight.
No, that was
Okay.
exactly what I was saying. Sometimes it's reality and
There
perception.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can, you know, assure them that this is not what Rocky Mount Police does, it's just not their business. And there's something recent about ICE and that sheriffs and police departments were being forced to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And sheriffs were in many places reluctant to do so. But,
Mhm.
you know, until that comes down, we're just assuming that that's not what we're doing here. But they need to understand that that's not what we're doing here.
Because what we don't want to have, we don't want someone in that community that may be subject to a crime or a victim, and their family members are afraid to call for assistance or seek help because
Right.
of
That's where I was
Yes,
going. That's where I
exactly.
was going.
So in other words, the police are your friends, not your enemies,
All right, there you go.
hopefully.
Hopefully. And if something like that was happening, I was wondering, would it be a matter, since we have committed ourselves to being humane and promoting humanity, what would intervention look like? Would it be somebody who is over law enforcement in this area, representatives or whoever that could, perhaps intervene? I'm not sure I know how that works. Go ahead, Nancy.
I thought one of the two ladies that was sitting right here addressed that at the meeting when they were here. Was talking about how social media and stuff was putting out false information,
Mhm.
and she was dealing with that. So I think that's actually being covered,
Okay.
from what I understood. Anyway.
Okay. Anything else on that, Archie?
That's it for me. Anything else?
Additional community conversations involving race, which is the new item.
Okay. Now, the commission will be asked, or have been asked, not formally yet, but we want to be prepared. When we started the process with the community conversation piece, it was to be a concept that was developed and they could tackle not just one issue. Because at the moment, the federal statute was number one on the list. We kind of focused on the federal statute. But there are other issues going on that we need to address also. Right now, there has been some conversation about the community there needs to be some community conversations dealing with race. And so I just want to bring that back to your attention. So the question will be, will we, hopefully we'll use the same format that we used previously. We can do some tweaking to that, but I did want to share that with the body. And if there's some feedback that you want to share, I'll have a conversation with one or two members here, and they'll share some insight. So that's a conversation that we probably need to have, at least start.
Will it be a meeting open to the public?
Correct. It's involved the public. Now, one comment may have been, one suggestion may have been, do we do like we did in the past? Open it up, whoever wants to come, and we just adjust the setting, so who shows up? We could take a different approach. We could actually invite a certain number of people and start like that. And we start with that group and let them meet, and we kind of go from there. So there are several ways we can do it by using the same process.
I don't mean to plead ignorance, but I know I missed last month's meeting, but you gotta fill me in on what we're talking about here. What did I miss? Additional community conversations involving race? What happened last month that I didn't pick up on?
Well, that may have been worded wrong. There was nothing.
I was gonna say, I don't think nothing has changed since you were at the last meeting.
Okay.
It's coming full circle, looks like,
That item was not on last month's agenda.
right.
I'm just bringing it to this month's agenda meeting, for us to kind of start a conversation, kind of start the process to get prepared for it.
And so about what?
You know, we had community meetings last summer.
About what?
About the third Saturday.
Okay, are we going back to that again, or are we doing something different?
Not that. Now, the next focus, you know, when we set the process up, the process was set up to handle an array of topics. Just so happened the first one was that we're going to establish.
Okay,
So now we're coming back and looking at possibly doing another one or other ones, and the focus may or may not be, but more than likely will be race.
you
Just out
know,
of curiosity, who's the driving force behind it?
right, I'm just,
Is it
I'm lost
just,
here.
just,
Well, you look at everything that's happened here in the last couple of months, so, you know, more than likely, it's probably time now. You all can decide, maybe you might say there's something else out there that's more important, you know? So it's pretty much up to the body, you know.
Now, Auntie, this is where I have always thought this commission's, their charge, their mission was, we're a human relations commission. I have always wanted to see something deliberately organized to promote racial unity. Something you can point to and say, that is designed to promote racial unity. And of course, it would certainly need to start with dialogue. A lot came up in those meetings that I sat in during the discussion of the statute. A lot came up. And more than anything else, there appeared to have been a desire to discuss some other things. And to me, that was tangible enough to take and actually go in some directions. But to think that, I think we are living in a day and time when if you don't promote something, it'll get crushed. And if we are really pursuing unity, then I think it ought to be a very visible initiative that is designed to pursue unity. Now, where we'll go with it or where it will go, I don't know, but not to pursue it, I think might be dangerous, especially in this day and time we're in now.
I have a point here. I haven't been on this commission very long, and I'm gonna be one of those one and dones because I'm a appointee of the mayor who is done. So I'm not gonna be on here much longer. But while I'm here, I would like to say, without a doubt, the most elucidating moment for me as a member of this commission was during the International Festival, which many of you went to. A really delightful woman whom I had never seen before in my life, beautifully clad in what may have been Pakistani garb, because she was next to the Pakistani table, came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "Do you mind if I have my picture taken with you?" And I went, "Of course I don't mind having my picture taken with you," but I said, "Why in the world, of all the people in this room who are far cuter and a lot younger, would you want your picture taken with me?" And she very wisely said, "Because we are here to celebrate and acknowledge and appreciate diversity." And what is diversity? It just means dissimilar. So not everything is a black and white issue in this town. And I think what we're trying to do with getting the Latinos involved, what I hope we do with the Middle Easterners, what I do with Asians, we are all people who reside in Rocky Mount. We want what's best for Rocky Mount. We need to listen to everybody.
If we want what's best for Rocky Mount,
Yes.
then you cannot say Rocky Mount without saying Edgecombe County.
Oh, my next
Or
point
Nash
is
County.
absolutely.
Or
Or
Nash
Nash,
County,
but,
yeah, or
but most of
Nash
it's
County.
in Nash County, but you cannot say Rocky Mount without saying Nash and Edgecombe County.
My point is exactly what you're saying. Rocky Mount.
Whether it's
We can't
black, white, low income, high income,
Absolutely.
it's a
It's Rocky
combination.
Mount.
Okay.
It's not a black and white issue. It is not a Nash County Edgecombe issue. It is about Rocky Mount. And I'm tired of going places and hear people say, oh, you're from Rocky Mount. Well, that's terrible. I'm going like, no, it's not. You know, I want people to understand who we are and what we're trying to do. And if this commission says we are here to advocate for all humans, as long as you live in Rocky Mount, because a sinking ship, everybody goes down. But a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's be concerned not just so much about color and Nash and Edgecombe County or rich or poor, whatever it is. Let's appreciate, acknowledge, and celebrate diversity wherever it is in this town. I don't know how we're going to go about doing it, but if we continue to concentrate on black and white issues, it's going to continue to separate us. And not that those issues don't exist.
I want to inject, I'm not necessarily challenging what you said, but I'm also thinking beyond black and white. But there are some trends. There are some trends that we can point to that I believe deserve some investigative discovery.
Fine.
For instance, and some of it is tainted by race, or not tainted, but is categorized by race. For instance, we've had a rash of school shootings in this country. We haven't had a school shooting in Rocky Mountain yet, which
I know.
means we ought to be
Yeah.
doing something preventive. Okay, what am I talking about? Learn a little bit more about some of the dynamics of school shootings. Okay, it just so happened that so far all of your school shooters have been white males. Okay, that has happened too often for us to ignore that there may be something societal that's contributing to that. And if it is, if there's something preventive we can do, I believe we should do it, because it betters the whole. You have economic situations. It's not just black and white. It's a matter of, it's humanity. It's the
Yes,
whole
it
of
is.
humanity. In terms of black and white, that's one of the most peculiar phenomena I've seen in a while. You know, you figure, back when I was in middle school, most of what you saw were black and white people. You didn't see I didn't see many other ethnic groups. But that has changed.
Yes.
So it's more than black and white now.
It most definitely is.
Absolutely.
And also religious races.
And religion,
Right,
yeah, absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
Very good. It's
Look at
diversity.
Mary Ware, a comment last month about the Islamic community.
Absolutely.
With them, sports, commitment to the human relations was.
Right.
But as far as Islamic community, we came from one ethnic, which is the Middle East.
Mhm.
Could be Christian, could be others. And there is about 2 or 3 families Christian living in
Mhm.
why is it Islamic?
Okay,
You know,
okay.
this is
So that could be
kind of-
sensitive to one group, and everybody else might not even know that.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Well,
But let me get Mr. Dance, I believe he was.
Well, let me help her with her question. Maybe she was not at the meeting that we discussed that not only do we need to talk about Hispanic and Latinos, but all races,
Mhm.
black, white, anybody,
That's right.
to come in and talk about what they wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
But what bothers me is, why is it people get so crazy when you talk about black, white? Everything is black, white. You can fix it up ever how you want to. It is an issue. And if you don't address it, just talk about our diversity, differences, then it's gonna continue to be a problem. Just the other day at work, 3 white guys was talking about Mexicans and brought up Democrats, and the Mexicans said they were gonna pay for the wall, and then they brought up Hillary. I said, well, all the guys y'all talking about is white. They said, well, you brought up race. The last time I checked, a white man and a Mexican is not the same race. Every time we wanna have discussions, they play victim. So people got an issue when they do that. I don't have a problem with talking about black, white. When people say they got black friends, I got white family. It's not an issue for me. I don't understand why it gets so sensitive when it comes to black, white. Before this Rocky Mount City Council became a black majority, we was at the Church of the Good Shepherd when we was going through we tried this stuff you talking about, common ground. They started out with businesses, they wouldn't do it. They started out with religion, they wouldn't do it. It came down to the community, and our group was the only one that kept meeting until the people they couldn't meet no more. We couldn't meet at the house because of family issues. People get sick and stuff. But again, if we're not going to talk about what's real and going on locally, it's no need. You know, you talked about the school system out there, and like you said, it's funny because just a couple of years ago in Nash Central, those girls was over with cone heads.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, this stuff is real. So I mean, we ain't gotta get into the depth, but we need to talk about it. All these false issues out here about race. The only way you're gonna get past it is talk about it.
I would like to add that America's original sin is not religion. It's not religious based. It was not. America's original sin was race. That's what it is. That's the reality. That's the reality of it. And we've never successfully dealt with it.
I tend to
You
agree
can
with
sit,
that.
you can
I
sit,
agree
you
with
can
that.
sit a pile of excrement in the middle of this table. And we can sit in here and talk about how we're gonna clean up around the room and vacuum and whatever, but guess what? Excrement is still here. And it's gonna smell and it's gonna stink until somebody deals with the excrement. So until we deal with, I was talking to Mr. Shader, we talked a couple of days ago, I forgot where we were, and we were talking. Yes, and he was talking about the things he went through, you know, when he first came to the country. He was already escaping from a situation, only to come into a situation that was even worse. And yet he has endured with it because he chose to deal with the issue at hand. We have to deal with it because, you know, I want to come to a day when we come into this meeting. I see people. I just want to see people. There she is. But you know, whenever the mayor who appointed you can sit down and talk to me and tell me how many black folk he went to school with, he says 15. He said, I remember when 15 came. I don't know how many white folk I went to school with. I really don't care. They were my classmates. They were my classmates. In 88, they were my classmates. I really don't care. You know, but he could literally sit down and tell me how many went. That means you were looking and you were counting. That's an issue there that goes deeper than the count. There's an issue there that goes to the core of what we're talking about here and the conversation that if we don't have in Rocky Mount, it has to start somewhere. Okay. This country has never had an honest conversation about race. Never had. So why don't we start here in this little hamlet called Rocky Mount and have this conversation? Because the one thing I know about hate corrodes the container that it is confined in. And a lot of times we think that hate is vitriol, but sometimes hate nests itself amongst our prejudices, amongst naivete, and we don't even know that it's hate, but it is. And that's because we've never dealt with that issue. We've never dealt with the issue of race, and we must deal with it. And who better to do it than the people in this room who I believe have more in common than we have than we have different.
That is
so,
a really big. It's a tall order.
It's a tall order.
It is a tall order.
But we can't pussyfoot around.
I guess my point is that we can appreciate the differences in people. Your point is that it's still, to you and many other people in Rocky Mount, it's all about a black and white issue.
Did you say that?
You don't think so? I mean, I'm trying to figure out exactly what can this little small commission do, and I'm all for it, because listen, my mother told me a long time ago about how you treat people. said, here's the situation, you're about to die. You got to have blood or vital organ. You get a call. There is one person who can save your sorry, wretched soul, who is willing to come forward. And she said, are you gonna say, oh, wait a minute now, are you black or white? Are you Democrat, Republican? Are you from Nash or Edgecombe County? What are you gonna say? Bring it on. Isn't that the way we need to be in this world? We are not, but
But-
shouldn't that,
but there's a
isn't that the
difference.
thing,
Commission-
we need to have an open heart and an open mind.
Commissioner, I agree, but there's a big difference.
We're not there yet.
There's a big difference between what you said and the reality that exists.
I know.
There are still some people who won't accept my blood because I'm a black person.
And then your
Yeah.
sorry, wretched soul will die.
And guess what? That's
We
what they
trying
say.
to
I
save
would
them.
die.
We trying to save them, that's the thing.
You know,
I get it.
And, you know, and so, you know, I look at the very man who came up with blood plasma, guess what? Was rejected from going into a hospital because he was a black man.
See,
And was driven many miles away and died. The very thing that he invented could have saved him, and it didn't, because guess what? White folks said, he's black, he can't come in here.
but I can't make up the mistake. The question
make
is,
up-
what can we, this is a
It's
small.
not about
And I
it's not
think-
about making it up, but it's about dealing with it and confronting it. And
Now.
like I was telling Archie, there is some deeply seated hurt on both sides of the fence.
And
Absolutely.
it's,
That you won't realize until you hear it come out. You say, I didn't realize that you were that hurt.
well, you know, an Hispanic might feel the same way. A
I agree.
Muslim feels the same way.
And
Somebody
he
from
talked
the
about
Middle
that.
East.
That's my
Let me-
point.
I
He
know.
talked about that in that meeting, how
Right.
he came from where he came, and we talked
Yeah.
about it. That's why I
Let
said
me
we
see if I
talked
can
about
bring this full circle, because this is the classic example of why there must be dialogue. I've heard several different issues in this discussion. So honestly, I do not believe it is just black and white. And but I do think we need to deal with black and white, because it is among the issues. But I think as long as the goal is equality and unity, then I believe we are doing as much as we can. What can we do as a small commission? We can do a lot. We can do a lot as a small group of individuals. Yeah, we've had some of the most open conversations in here. If we could even open a dialogue like this up in the public, I believe we are doing a service. And a series of meetings. Most of us have been trained in facilitation. If there was a way that we could reach out, make sure the community is having dialogue. I think what you will encounter quickly is people do have a lot of issues that's not necessarily black and white. But these are issues dear to them that are, they are influenced by their race, their gender, their religious ideology. And what I'm saying, if the greater good isn't being promoted, I believe evil will prevail.
So what we
I
want to
think we should
have
sit
is,
by and hope it happens. I think we have to be making trust steps.
we're talking about a series of open forums.
That's what
to
I'm talking about. I don't know
discuss-
if
I
the
mean,
group
when you
is
say
talking about.
discuss race,
kind of
that's
an
a
idea that I'm putting out.
huge topic. Just, I mean, is it possible to break it down into
Absolutely.
chewable bites?
And that would be a part of your facilitation process, is to come to, just like we did in the other meetings. I love that model we went through. Because it gathered some things up that we could take and sink our teeth into, and we process it. We went through it, we processed it. That's what it's gonna take. You never know what people are leaving with, but you gotta put it out there for them. Go ahead, sir.
So Archie, did you get a sense of, is there anything more specific or detailed in regarding race that the commission needs to focus on? Because I know you said it's forthcoming, or did it just say have a discussion about race?
Not yet, but one thing that this commission can do, and the question that we just raised, a very valid question, you know, we know from experience, training, that you don't go into a meeting.
Right.
Be wide open.
Right.
That's right.
So what we gotta do, hopefully come up with, some defined questions that will target the conversation. And the conversation will be based on those. And if you notice, when we did the Confederate Monument statutes, there was a series of 4 questions, and everybody responded to those questions. So that would be kind of the same concept. Now, how we come up with those questions and wording, you all have a lot of input in that, and it will be approved by you all. But Like I said, we definitely don't wanna walk into a meeting wide open instead of have
You
a
can't.
free-for-all conversation.
Mm.
That is
Not unless you've got on the vest.
Well, you know, Archie, one of the most glaring problems that all of us have had to live with in the last 10 years I know of is the education system in North Carolina is at the bottom of the pot.
Okay.
And then they even take that further, the education system in eastern North Carolina is at the bottom of that pot. And behavior in school is off the chain, violence in school is going crazy. The schools was the first institution that really experienced integration, but I've never heard anybody do any processing of what happened, what went well, what didn't, and are there lingering things now in the schools that could be at the root of why certain students are not making progress and certain are. To me, the school system would be an excellent place, and educational issues would be an excellent place to start really applying some resources. I know I'm talking about money because everybody got no money, but I'm just talking about some dialogue. Our kids are under more pressure in school now than they ever have been. Suicides are up. A lot of kids will tell you they don't feel protected, they don't feel safe, and I don't think we can keep ignoring that. I think there's something at the root of school shootings. I honestly do. Now, I'm in mental health. I've looked at it maybe a little closer than most, but there's something going on with school shootings. And we can't just sit around and keep watching it happen.
And there's two schools of thought as to what the cause and the effect and what the cure and what the corrective action is. And I could see this group supporting a debate, have somebody from NCAE come and talk and debate somebody from, say, John Locke, who they're going to represent two different sides of it, but they can present professionally what they have, A and B, and then we can have a discussion afterwards in the facilitated method. What did you think of what the North Carolina Association of Educators thought? What do you think of the theory on what John Locke is saying and where the problem is?
I can see something like that.
Because you've got one side that says we are pouring in more money per pupil than any other state by a statewise than any other state, and the results from that money is the investments not paying off. You got others that say we need to throw
That ties into what we were
money.
talking about, how? That ties into what we were talking about, how?
You're talking about the, in terms of a starting place.
Of a starting
I think
place,
the
what he
question
was
was
talking about
asked,
education.
has something else.
Until you have an honest conversation, until you start honestly, because that's dishonest. Now, not in the sense of that it is not truthful, because there is truth there. But we said here, at least I didn't have my glasses on, hold on. It says additional community conversations involving race. Now, as an offshoot of that, we may come to education. Education may be a thing.
Absolutely.
But don't start at education when the issue is race. Start right there with the race and get into the short and curlies of it. Get to and be honest now, because let me tell you something. If you're not honest about it, it's not going to. I need to know if you. Hey, look, I feel bad when I see a black man and I have to clutch my purse, or I don't trust white people because of this, that, and the third. That's honesty. You got to come with it. That has to be at the core of the conversation, because once you get to that, then guess what? It'll no longer be able to scab over, and then you pull the scab back and it starts bleeding again. You eventually it's going to heal.
Right.
The scar will still be there, but guess what? It'll heal, and we won't have to deal with that anymore.
I got you. Let me inject just a little bit of clarification, and then we're gonna come to you, Camilla. Well, I was going towards that, Nehemiah, just because I mentioned starting with the school system. It wasn't starting by the school system budget. It wasn't about starting with teacher salary. It was about starting with race relations in the school system. Because our schools have almost resegregated again. And I believe that there's a problem with that. How it happened, somebody carefully planned it. Okay? what happens going forward, it is about race. It really is. Go ahead, Camilla.
Well, I kind of differ on when you say it has not been in discussion. 'Cause I've been in meetings across the state. Went to North Carolina Central State 3 days. Even the closing achievement gap committee for the state went around the state. They came here to Rocky Mount. I took off work, went to Morning Star. So the discussion around the schools closing the achievement gap has touched on that.
I remember that.
So, I mean, you know, so you get into the school system, but what I want to say is, you know, just like Rocky Mount keeps saying, uneducated. I've been looking at my job for the last couple of years. Now, we are high-tech aerospace. And I just wonder why very few white kids come through the door. The only ones that come in are the ones that are engineers and like that. But, I mean, we make good money. But no white kids come through, and it's been puzzling me why they don't
You
come.
mean for employment?
For employment.
Okay.
So it's some hidden agendas in the area. I don't know what they are. But when you say people need to be more educated, I only got a 12-year degree, high school degree diploma. But if you give me the opportunity, I'm gonna learn. And that's what's happening out there. We build fighter jets. We build tanks for the military. And all they had to do was give me the opportunity to get in there, and I did. I've been there 32 years. So that stuff is tricky. And my last thing, when you talk about education, one year I went through 3 principals at South Edgecombe Middle School. Those principals had issues. I went to a revival one night. Parents came up to me and said, today in school, the principal called all the black males to the multi-purpose room during the school day. That thing pissed me. If I had a black child in that school, a black male in that school, I would sue this school. Because to me, what did it? And I emailed the principal as soon as I got home and asked him. He said Reverend Richard Jordan was supposed to come and talk to him, but I didn't care who came and talked to him. But what did that do to little black girls? Say about our little black boys? What did it say to little white girls about our little black boys? What did it say to white boys about our little black boys? And when that mess came up about little black boys are at risk, I told people right there, not only little black boys, but all black men are at risk. So, like you said, we need to talk about race. Because all that stuff is good, but let's talk about the real issue. And I want to go back to Shaggy. Like I said, in the last meeting when we talked about dealing with all races, he made a very good, valid point. And the last thing I'll say is, in Rocky Mount, unless people are crazy, it's about power, and at the moment, blacks are in power. They got the majority. So if you want to say it's not about black and white, that case it is. Now, everything may not be, but it's real, so we need to deal with it. We need to put out the false information that's being put out. You need to have discussion where people can come in and get the real facts. It needs to be done, because I see a time bomb, because folk is tired. Like you say, I mean, I'm concerned.
Yeah, and you know, from a commission point of view, and Archie help us to get back on track here, because we're about to go to other commission concerns. I think all that has been said here in this discussion is an indicator that we need to promote. We need to promote equality. We need to promote unity. You're right, Camilla. Rocky Mount has golden opportunity. I call it a renaissance. Now, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I'm not from Rocky Mount, but I've lived here most of my life, and I've seen some astounding changes. I'll be 64 years old this coming Saturday, God willing, and I remember when you came to Rocky Mount, you walked on one side of the street, you sat beside of the street, depending on based on race, and a lot of other things that were prevalent, and now I see how kids are merging almost, I actually want to have discussions with them. They have, I don't know whether it's unity, I don't know exactly what it is, but kids nowadays, they definitely don't see race like my generation saw it, okay? I think that's progress that we all can learn from if we have an open dialogue. And having said that, I do think if you've ever been scarred And an emotional scar is worse than a physical scar, okay? Sometimes it just takes them a long time to heal. But there's one thing for sure, if you have an open wound and you don't treat it, it might heal by itself or it might not. It might get infected. And I think we should take every opportunity we can. Just open dialogue is healing. It is very healing. So, to the question, Archie, or to the topic itself, I want to come back to the question this gentleman raised in terms of, is there what next? Is there a type of charge or something that is here? Or is the floor actually open to a discussion about what can we do?
Well, the floor is actually open. There's been, as yet, no charge for us to take this project on. But my thought process was better to go ahead and start the conversation and be prepared. Thank you for your feedback. You all have made some outstanding points here. And it just confirms the fact that if this project is taken on, it needs to be the concept needs to be similar to what we had before. It has to be constructed, it has to be controlled, and so I will value your continued feedback.
What should we do, Archie? Should some of us contact you about some ideas we may have? And bring them back to a meeting like this and perhaps brainstorm and try to find a direction to go? Or is this a time for a committee of individuals to commit themselves to it, or?
Not yet, we're probably just about there, but what I want this meeting to do is just get you thinking about the process.
Okay.
You all share a lot of good information, and so when that point comes, so we need to kind of fine tune this thing and get in the direction, you know, we were either, if we don't have a scheduled meeting, we'll call a meeting together, and so whatever direction we go in, make sure that we have the support from the commission, because this will not work unless all of you are part of it. We can't go out and have this type of meeting or conversation, and then only half of the commission is part of it.
One of our guests wanted to.
I was gonna say, Mo Deloach is spearheading a Unity for Community
I
on
tell you what,
Sunday.
Hold that thought until the end, and when we get to our announcement.
I was gonna say, I invite everybody to go, you know.
Mr. Chair, to piggyback on what Archie said, in the city council meeting, the city council said they will be meeting with this committee, and so I think that's gonna come out during that committee. So like Archie is saying, you need to go ahead on and get ahead of the game.
Gotcha.
And also, while I'm speaking, you know, I tell you, I'll be coming to the meetings, but they haven't appointed anybody yet, so I will be continuing to come. Maybe they have somebody for the next meeting. I hope they do. But anyway, I still will be coming anyway and sharing my input with the other members. But I think Archie's gonna talk it. You need to go ahead and get started because it's coming when you meet. Because they said they were gonna be calling
Gotcha.
to meet with this group.
That's what I was hoping they
And,
would
and,
do.
and it's gonna be more than what it's
Give
been
some
being.
solid direction, or if there's a charge, put it out there and let us sink our teeth into it.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Also on the agenda,
Good to go ahead.
we're getting close to time here, so are there any concerns or questions that, yes?
I got a question, the monument. I know we're talking about going there, that's just as much race as anything else, so we need to get some feedback about where they stand on the Confederate monument.
The council?
Yes.
Now, would it be an opportune time if we do this meeting, because I would love to know too, what their thoughts are on what next steps would be. Because I believe we did our work and we put it in their hands to hear what needs to happen next. I think it would be a good time to bring that up. As a matter of fact, I plan to bring that up.
So I think I need to go from the commission, you know, or to report to them, said we want to know.
Okay.
I have a concern is, other than what we talked about. I live in Edgecombe County. I live on Virginia Street. I live close to Baskerville School, Parker School, Weeks Armstrong Housing Authority, Raleigh. What was it? Boulevard or that road? I don't know.
Boulevard.
Recently, a group open, a sweepstakes, one of the sweepstakes, right in the middle of the community. I don't know if you know where the old bread box is, right next to the Family Dollar
South
Store.
Rocky Mountain.
No, Edgecombe County.
Okay.
On Raleigh, before you get to Bojangles. On the right hand side, right next to the housing authority. You have a store here, you have the bread box here, old bread box here, which is now sweepstakes, and then you have the newer Family Dollar here.
Who's
Okay.
Beauty World?
Beauty World is here. You're facing it. You gonna tell me that you gonna allow, I'm going to the city, I'm gonna raise hell. Because nowhere in this city is in the middle of a neighborhood. And this is in the middle of a depressed, economically depressed neighborhood. These people are already struggling just to make ends meet. And you're gonna bring something in the middle of their community that is so enticing that they will, I know my folk, they'll go in there and use their rent money or their light bill money in order to try to win, some windfall. That's not gonna happen, okay? These places are meant to take money and not make money. If you wanna make money, get a job. All right, that's another issue altogether. But I refuse to allow the planning department to allow this and I told them before not to allow it there. And now, I guess because it's a couple of years later, they've come back and they've done it. Now, I'm letting the commission know, and I'm getting ready to raise hell as only I can with the city council, because I'm not gonna have it. See, Du Bois talked about a talented tenth. There are some folk that don't know any better, but there are a whole lot of folk that do know better, and the folk that do know better have to look out after the folk that don't know better.
That's what we're doing.
And that's what we're doing as Human Relations Committee. This right here will not stand, not with me. That won't stand with me.
What you need there is a grocery store because it's a food desert.
It's a food desert.
Help me understand
I mean,
again where it is.
It's going down Raleigh before you turn to go on Stokes. Weeks Armstrong. It's right in front of Weeks Armstrong.
Oh, over there.
Fish tables, everything.
It's in the middle of the community. I don't have anything. If you want to go out and entertainment, I ain't got no problem with it. If that's what you want to do. People go to Vegas all the time. But guess what? You don't. It's not in the middle of a neighborhood. Get the hell out of there.
I can give you a little bit of insight as to how they do it.
Put something somebody
Put
needs
something that
there.
somebody needs there. Then you go into the stores that you go into the community, and all you can get is Cheetos and sodas. Hell, I give me a banana and an apple every now and then.
I can give you some insight as to how they're doing that, and it's a statewide issue.
What they're doing is they're saying one thing, but the CO says we're going as a vape shop, but then they're adding on to it. I know exactly what they're
I
doing.
don't trust some
But
of
I
the
can't
big
wait to
shops.
go in there and see that CO says one thing and they doing another. And I've already gone in there and told them, you know y'all gotta close, right?
But they
I've already told them
don't
that.
yet. They don't yet, because what they've done is, the gaming that they had been outlawed. But unfortunately, our laws are not keeping up with technology.
Right.
And they're able to take the technology to where there's several law firms that have been able to push and say, this isn't that, it's this. And they're able to have those games, and the city no longer do municipalities issue business licenses.
But see, that's not my
And
issue,
the property is
Steve.
zoned-
My issue is
But
that
it's
you've got
zoned.
this crap in the middle of my neighborhood where you have people who are economically depressed who cannot afford for that to be there. Like she said, put a grocery store there. Put something there where people can go and get some healthy food or get some information. But hell, you're gonna go in here and put some damn video games in the middle of it? Get the hell out of there.
Question. So as a response to that, that's another thing we can add to our list. So what we'll do, let me follow with planning and PD, and we'll see what they stand with that.
Please do,
And
Archie, because we got a new plan director who doesn't know the city. So guess what? Maybe you need to take him over there so that he can see what's going on around there, because if you don't take him, I'll take him.
Okay. And
But
so,
He might not come
Falls
back.
under ALE.
Well, A, it falls under ALE, but B, it's office, it's the O and I zoning on it. You can have any kind of business there. And because those games are currently not illegal, they can have them in there. They have just as much right to have them in there as a used car dealer in the wrong place, whatever. And to change zoning, you can't selectively zone.
You're right.
Because again, remember, you don't want to discriminate against one particular person because it come back and bite you later
That's
on
true.
another issue. So what has to be done is the city has to be part of the same folks that are going all over the state asking the state to change the law again to catch up with it. And the problem is it's a hopscotch. They come out, they change the law, they're gone for a little while, they upgrade, it goes back and forth. Cause
That's right.
it's just, there's so much money in there, and the people that are running them things are scary. And you would be amazed at how many are
That-
in National
but
Edgecombe
guess what?
County right
That's
now.
fine. One grocery store in my community, that's Food Line, one. All right? Most people don't know this. It used to close at 9 o'clock. Every other Food Line in the city closed at 10. Their excuse was that it was a crime issue. What do we have police for? All right, Bronson Williams and myself called Food Line and told them that they would change it to 10, or we would boycott Food Line. See, I believe in cutting off my nose to spite my face.
And I commend-
I don't doubt that, I
I
don't
do
doubt that.
commend Food Line because,
No, I don't come in Food Line. I told them, I said open at 10 o'clock, open to 10 o'clock just like everybody else.
they are
And
open
what,
at
and what they
10 o'clock.
did was, after we told them, they said it's gonna take a month. It took them 2 days until they had to sign up there and said, guess what? Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will.
That's
So
true.
my thing, that's Frederick Douglass. So I believe
Right.
that what has to happen here is that we have to, if they don't close it, that's fine. That's your choice. You're right. Everybody has a right to do it. But guess what? I also have a right too. And for every corner store that's in my community, not just in Edgecombe, but any black community in this city, where they are creating food deserts, I'll make sure I run you out of there. And my resolve is greater than yours.
And that is the power of activism and what it's supposed to do. But, and again, municipalities can't, and the police are reactive, they're not proactive.
No,
So it's one to where the community itself has to make the decision of what they want in their community.
The powers that be, which is not the department.
Okay, so as a, Councilor, bring this in, follow, we'll make sure that we'll, as I said, additional items we'll add to our list. But we'll definitely get in contact.
yeah, let me know when you go meet with my,
Okay, and so we'll have a, reply by the next
Mr.
meeting.
Jones, I'm sorry.
Not before. Okay?
Archie, I wanted to ask something for my sake as well, that I know you have a guest that wanted to have a comment. I want you all to educate me real quick on rule of order. I've heard so moved several times when we're having a general discussion and we start to actually vote during a meeting. My understanding of so moved, this is what I want y'all to help me at. It is only used to adjourn a meeting. You can do a so move, and once you do that, there's no need for a second. But it was only at adjournment. But doing other discussions, when there has to be a vote, there has to be a proper motion to accept and then a proper second. Help me out with that.
And so moved would be if somebody's talking about, we need to do this, and then you say,
Rather than
stated
repeat
in
what
a
they
motion,
said.
yeah, stated in a motion, and you
You
can
say
say
so
so
moved.
moved.
Okay.
Because you'd already stated.
I'm familiar with that.
because you'd already stated the motion, what the motion should be. The person said
Gotcha.
so moved. I moved that motion be made, and then the motion is second.
So
So it
after
can
the
be
so
done that
moved,
way.
after the so move, is a
That's
second
considered
necessary?
Right.
Yes, a second is
Second
necessary.
still necessary. Okay.
Second
So
necessary.
that's what you're stating the motion,
Got
but they say second, and it's good.
And
Or just so move. That's it. Okay.
And if the secretary don't get it, they will ask want them to repeat the motion.
Right.
For
Okay,
clarification.
so that helps me. Okay.
One last thing, see, that's why I come out and say we need to have these kind of dialogues, because see, how passionate he was about
Absolutely.
stuff going on in his community. See, people think that just because you see us out talking about stuff that may be black, white, but that's something we care about our community. We willing to talk about
That's
it.
not
So
black,
that's
white.
what I'm
That's
saying.
right, wrong.
That's not black,
Right,
That's
but it's in the
That's
black,
right.
but it's
Right,
in,
wrong. Not everything is right.
but it's in the black community though.
Absolutely.
I'm saying, people gotta understand, we're passionate about our community, no matter who it
Absolutely.
is. And right down the road, it's another one, club shut down, and that's all they got in there, they made a switch state. So that's in the black.
I'll be there too.
So, I mean, yeah,
You
so
show
I'm
me
just
where you
saying,
are.
we're
I'm walking
passionate
and telling them
about,
they can close too.
we're passionate about everything, not just certain issues.
Okay, so, your passion for this work is awesome, so I really appreciate it. You keep it going. With that time, now there's an item on the agenda that, we wanted to share, but I wasn't sure if we were gonna meet next month, but looks like we're gonna definitely meet next month. So, okay, we can move the department activity update to next month's meeting. My staff was prepared to give you kind of a brief update of everything that the department and the commission have been involved in since July 1st. And that's something I have to do on a yearly basis, so we want to kind of share it with you all. But if it's okay, we can bring that back to the next meeting. announcements, we have a guest here that has an announcement, so since we've finished our discussion, we will allow him to make his comments.
Before we go to that, I would like to make a motion that we move our department activity update to our next month's meeting.
So moved.
Motion has been moved and second that we move our next month's meeting up to all in one. Okay, are you ready for question?
Question?
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
Appreciate it.
Mo DeLoach, who's a local businessman who plays basketball overseas, is returning to the U.S. and he's been planning a big event online on Facebook. It's going to be called Unity for the Community, and the purpose is going to be at the Bowling Center on Sunday, May 19th, from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. And the whole purpose is to get people of different backgrounds, different ethnicity, different beliefs, together, for a purpose. It's going to be bowling, karaoke, and we said no political talk in there, leave politics at home, but it's for everybody to get out and about and join together and have a good time. And, it might be a good opportunity for some members of this group to get there, since it looks like, you're going to address the topic, is just put some feelers out and see and observe what's going on.
What's the date?
What's the,
May 19th.
What's the
on
time?
Sunday.
What's the
5
time?
o'clock to 8 o'clock.
And it's gonna be at the,
Rocky Mount Bowling Center.
okay. Okay.
also there's an event called,
My name is Jeff Pridgeon.
Community.
Yeah, me and Bo been talking back and forth about it, so but he's the driving force behind it all, so.
There's another event on June
What about that car
June
wash?
the 8th.
Oh,
Excuse me, Ralph, hold on a second.
There's another event on June the 8th. It's Community Appreciation Day. It's called Summer Blast. It's going to be at the old fairgrounds. At the fairgrounds. I think it's from 1 to 6. I think it's a free event. They're doing face painting for the kids. They're giving out food for those people that need it, clothing for those people that need it. I think they're doing bounce arounds. They're giving out information. They have informational booths where you can get information.
Voter registration.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're doing voter registration also.
June the 8th.
June, that'll be June the 8th.
and the bowling event, if you want the bowl, it's $10, but that's unlimited, that's to rent your shoes and unlimited bowling for those 3 hours, so. I just failed to mention that, but there is a little bit of cost involved. We also, the Young Renovators, had a car wash at our business this past weekend. And they're looking to send 45-plus kids to the beach, on buses, that come from, impoverished neighborhoods. They raised over $3,000 washing cars, and the money's still coming in. So I don't think they have a final tally yet, but this is just everybody coming together as a community. So, there are issues out there, but there's people in the community that want to address these things and work together, so the hands are being reached across the table, across the tracks, so, and I hate to use that term, but
No,
it's
it's
a city.
honest.
That's been a divide in the city for as long as I've been alive, so, and we got to help get over that,
Yeah.
so, but as a community, it's a beginning, and look forward to moving forward, so.
Appreciate it.
What's your name?
Jeff Pridgeon.
Unity for the community would be a great motto.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Archie, go ahead.
There's a
Maybe
couple-
another.
There are a couple of slides in front of you about some events that's coming up. I'll make sure you have those.
Just a point of reference, I noticed a lot going on at the event center. I come through there sometimes, the parking lot is packed full.
Just to kind of share with you, I had some relatives in town last week for a service, funeral, and the closest hotel they could find was in either Wilson or Goldsboro.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Okay.
No, that's opportunity rather, not a shame. Okay, we're at the 5 o'clock hour, guys, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Somebody there.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Speaking of the event center, since there's some who may not have actually been there, maybe we could have one of our meetings there one day. That's it. And they have pizza and so forth here.
There you go.
That's a good idea.
And then,
Why
there,
don't we do it next
it
week?
won't take but a minute. It's really a beautiful place.
Yeah, let's do it next week.
Get me a strap on cuss support,
I
right?
mean, but those who
The city may own it, but it's not, somebody else, we got to pay them to use that.
Let's move on.
Look, I love it, race car game, I mean, it's games enough for
I know
adults
where
to
to
play,
find
the race car, yeah.
Let me get everybody to this real quick. We're glad to see you back, and I wanted to know that you have any comments for us.
Miss Taylor.
Yeah.
I am glad to be back. I was very low, and so far, the Lord has blessed me, and I'm back. And I hope that I'll be back to the next year's to be on this event.
Well, we're glad to see you again, Mr.
Glad to
Taylor.
see
We
you.
certainly are. Glad to see you come through that door.
Yes.
All right, our meeting has been adjourned. Great. Okay. Good to see everybody.
I'm trying not to hit you this time.
Oh, I'm getting up.
How's your dad up?
I need to talk.